Today, we're going to be talking about the Russian Revolution, one of the most important revolutions for world history. This revolution causes a series of events that will change the history of the world. Right here, we have a picture of the revolution. If you see in this picture here, you have what looks like lower class peoples, farmers, factory workers, peasants, all marching together. And in the back, the guy holding the red flag, that was the color of the revolution, red. Red means change, violence, all sorts of stuff. And so they would wave that flag to show their king that they wanted change. Well, we got to talk about the causes of the revolution. Now, there are 5 points here, which are the 5 causes of the revolution. One was weak leadership. The king at the time, Tsar Nicholas II, Tsar just is Russian for king, he made all the wrong decisions and he made his people really angry. Anytime they wanted more food or this or that, he tried to do it, but he would just make all the wrong choices and all his plans would fall through. So that didn't make him look good. He also got Russia involved in the Russo-Japanese War. Russia fought a war with Japan over some islands near the border between Russia and Japan. Basically, both wanted to own these certain islands, so they fought a war over it. This war was a failure. Russia lost the war. There was plenty of food shortages all around Russia. Russia is 90% agrarian or farming, but these farmers have to grow these crops and then give them to the government or to the king or to whomever owns the land. And so the feudal system is still in place in Russia even at this time, and it's around 1900, the early 1900s. And so there's a lot of food shortages, and the peasants and the lower classes just aren't getting enough food. Farmers and factory workers are not making enough money just to feed themselves as well. Everyone's just down on their luck. And all the rich people in the country are mistreating these poor people. These rich people are the ones who are having all the food and having everything they need. This is making all the lower class people really angry. And here is a picture of Tsar Nicholas II. Alright, now we're going to go into the revolution itself. So, in 1905, there was really peaceful demonstration by a lot of these farmers or lower class peasants. But the Tsar didn't want this demonstration to go ahead. So he shut it down, but he used force, and many women and children were killed during this demonstration. This will be known as Bloody Sunday, obviously because it happens on a Sunday. But there is a group of people who want to take power. These people are called the Bolsheviks. Their leader is a guy named Lenin. He wants to take power in Russia and turn Russia into a communist society. He read the Communist Manifesto, which Marx wrote, and he really liked the ideas in the book, and he wanted to create that in Russia. So after the massacre in 1905, the movement is growing and growing and growing. Russia's in the midst of World War I. They're not doing too well. So by February 28, 1917, the Tsar is finally forced to leave his throne. He's forced to step down. The people finally come together and push him out. There's another government that is set up. But the Bolsheviks, they don't want that other government in charge. They want to be in charge. So there's already some divisions going on amongst these people. Even though the Tsar's kicked out, there's still division between this government and the Bolsheviks. So Lenin wants to take power, so he leads the October Revolution, one of the most famous revolutions in the world. This causes this other government that was set up to collapse. They kick out this other government, and the Bolsheviks take over. But the problem is not everyone agrees with them, so then a civil war breaks out. Russia pulls out of World War I because Lenin is saying we want to give all the people peace, land, and bread. And that's what he wants to give them. Unfortunately, people don't agree, civil war breaks out, and then you have the Reds versus the Whites. And here's a picture of Lenin, the leader of the Bolsheviks. So, Lenin also develops a new economic plan during the Civil War. So in the Civil War, the Red Army was the communists slash Bolsheviks, and the White Army was the Tsar's old army or the army of that other government that was set up. They're both fighting each other, and it was the most brutal fighting ever. And the Civil War lasts from 1917 to about 1923. And in the end, the Red Army wins. So the communists and the Bolsheviks win. Lenin takes full control and full power, and Russia becomes the first communist country in the world. So during the war, Lenin, sets up a new economic plan, NEP, N-E-P for short. And in this plan, he wanted to reduce how much food had to be given to landowners or government so that the people can have more food. He wanted to just have a little bit of capitalism, because remember, communism and capitalism, they don't go well with each other. So he wanted to just have as little capitalism as possible, mostly communism. And he wanted to get a lot of money to industrialize Russia. He wanted Russia to be a country that had many factories and that could create things, much like the rest of Europe, which had all these factories. Places like Germany, France, and England had all the factories. They produced all these clothing and these items. Russia didn't, and he wanted to be on that same level as these other countries. Unfortunately, though, Lenin dies in 1924, and there is a power struggle. But at the end of the power struggle, Stalin takes over. Stalin takes over, and he begins what he likes to call the 5-year plan, which is basically a continuation of Lenin's new economic plan. However, he wants to make the country fully industrialized within 5 years, which no country ever has ever done that. So he forces his people to work in the factories, to work, work, work. A lot of people died, and a lot of people were sent off to prison camps in Siberia, which is the cold part of Russia. But it worked. The country became industrialized. A lot of pollution comes into factor as well. Stalin was a complete dictator, and he rules Russia with an iron fist. This is the beginning of what we know of communism today. And here is a picture of Stalin. This concludes our presentation on the Russian Revolution.